Miss Gubera owns the Callaway Jewel, and Miss Ravolo owns Lulu's.
Yeah, I know Miss Rivera.
Both were recommended by Tamara Tatesian, and I know you don't,
Yeah, I just didn't.
absolutely. I haven't received Miss Gubera's back just yet, so.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Very well. Okay, next we have a proclamation for Kyle. Deputy Mayor Nelson, would you join me?
While you guys are headed down there, I know Kyle loves this. I'm gonna take this moment as if he's not embarrassed enough. So I know that we all know here in the community knows what an impact Kyle has made at the city of Fulton with more than 20 years of service, but it warrants echoing. I've had the honor of working with him for about 12 years, and I have to say that I have seen so many things under his leadership come to fruition, and Kyle does an incredible job looking out for the citizens of Fulton, trying to find new projects, new funding. Again, he's really uncomfortable right now, I sense this. But that being said, I really want to highlight that Kyle goes above and beyond to really forecast the needs of the future, not just meet the needs of today. And I know that we are certainly going to miss you, Kyle, and the impact that you've made here. I'm going to miss working with you and getting to witness your leadership and your growth here. I'm going to also maybe even miss the conversations we have to have about budget time and when things get a little tight. Yeah, and that being said, I know that Jefferson City is in great hands, and I could not be more proud of you in this opportunity. It's well deserved. You've worked really, really hard for it, and again, I think that Jefferson City is certainly getting a great employee, and it is our loss. So, humongous shoes to fill. No one will fill them, but it's been an honor to work with you.
I would love to read this to you. I'm going to step over here to the microphone so everybody can hear me. Proclamation of Recognition and Appreciation. Whereas, on the occasion of Kyle Bremer's departure from the employee of the City of Fulton after a total of 21 years, 8 months, and 21 days, it is proper that the city record an expression of its grateful appreciation for his devoted service. And whereas Kyle began his distinguished career with the City of Fulton on June 1st, 2004 as project design engineer, demonstrating his dedication and expertise from the onset. And whereas on January 1st, 2010, he was promoted to assistant city engineer, where he contributed significantly to the city's infrastructure and development projects and exceptional skill and professionalism. And whereas on February 2nd, 2021,
Steve Goring and to Dan Dunn as well.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the presentation of the December DOA report. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Move for acceptance of the December DOA report.
Very well. We have a motion and second to approve. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now we'll have the December financial statement. Dustin, you want to come forward, please?
Dustin Doherty, CFO, City of Fulton. As of December 31st, 2024, we've recorded 11 months of sales tax, with collections up 2.2% from last year and use tax up 14.2%, reflecting economic growth. Overall revenues and expenditures are tracking as expected, with planned transfers addressing deficit fund balances in several funds as authorized in Budget Amendment Number 2. Most funds are stable, though variances exist, such as lower revenues in the gas fund due to timing of the I-74 project and higher expenditures in solid waste. The financials reflect planned use of reserves for key projects and overall fiscal stability. I'm happy to address any questions you might have.
I make a motion to approve the financial report.
Very well. If there's no questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have no unfinished business tonight, nor any new business. So we'll move on to council concerns. I don't have anything tonight. We'll move on to Councilman Henchy.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to reiterate that we will very much miss Kyle and all the work he does for our city. And thank you for everything that you've done. Also, Public Safety Committee, we've not had any meetings. The next one is scheduled for February 27th. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilman West?
Okay, I echo that. I've enjoyed working with Kyle over the years, and his shoes are going to be hard to fill. Maybe Greg Hayes might have big enough feet, I'm not sure, but anyway. So the Human Rights Commission has not met. We did have the Celia celebration in December. It was very well attended. We got to note that Governor Parson had pardoned Celia, so that was a long effort, and it was very great ceremony, great celebration. Right now they're working on a poster contest, and we're discussing Juneteenth, but we haven't had a meeting. Concerns, we got the information from Parks and Rec regarding fee waiving for facilities. I would hope that we could discuss that sometime in a future council meeting. I also met with Mrs. Doyle, on Friday afternoon, and we had a good conversation about several different items, and I appreciate the time. I have no other items. Thank you.
Councilman Rick.
Good evening,
Councilwoman
everybody.
Rick-
Okay.
what-
I have a story I want to tell. A couple, 3 years ago, I was on one of the committees here, and I had a lot of questions about the streets and all kinds of things. So I called Kyle, and I asked him if I could have a ride-along. So I rode along. Excuse me. So I rode along with him. So we're out there going around. He's explaining all these things to me, what this is for and what that's for. Then we pull over near your house, and I couldn't understand the difference between the sizes of the street. So he says, come on. So we get out of the trucks. He pulls out this big tape. He's on one side of the street, I'm on the other, and we're measuring the streets. And I think of that often when I think of Kyle. And what a fun day. We had a fun day, and I learned an awful lot. And I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to teach me some things I didn't know. I appreciate it. Good luck in what direction you're going. And that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Stone?
Yes, I don't have any concerns this evening, and just continue to echo, Kyle, you're probably going to hear it each one. You take the time to teach us what we need to understand in order to help you do what you need to do. And that's, I think that's your biggest legacy, is you always seem to have time for us. You always seem to know how you need to talk to us and how you need to explain things to us. We each come from different backgrounds, but you work with that, and you've done a great job of educating us so that we can help the city. So thank you.
Councilman Luther?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Still has been no airport advisory board meeting and none scheduled that I'm aware of. Guess to reiterate on some of the other comments for Kyle, I think we've known each other 8 or 9 years. Really started as a citizen that was kind of probably a pain in your butt for a little bit. And then ironically, I get to work with you on almost a weekly basis here at the city. So it's funny how things changed over the years, but then went from kind of bickering back and forth to working together to ultimately with the best intentions in mind for the city. So it's awesome how things have changed over the years. So definitely be missed. I'm just teasing out. I might have to look for a house at Jeff City myself just to make sure I can get underneath your umbrella again. But may just be an Airbnb, but I'll see what I can find. Some other items on a more serious note. So there have been some things in the news recent past. I know we have some security camera initiatives. Definitely maybe something we need to look at to see if we can further expand that into the main arteries of the city to help facilitate better information gathering when things do occur in the city that are unlawful. So maybe something that we can look at in the future going forward to expand that. And additionally, it sounds like there are still some ice and snow concerns out at the airport. So I can work with you, Courtney and Steve, outside of here, make sure we get those items addressed because we are impacting businesses and the airplanes getting in and out of their hangars out there still. So even with this weather, there's still ice built up out there. So that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Combs?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Commission was supposed to meet tonight, but that meeting got postponed at the request of those wanting the zoning change till next month. Again, I will, that's if that meeting. In terms of other things, I'll echo kind of what everybody else said. Kyle, I really appreciate you taking time to educate us repeatedly, sometimes on the same subject. So yeah, I appreciate all you've done for us here in the time that I've been here. Outside of that, at Wallace Becker Park, there's still a car parked that's been there for a couple weeks. I don't know if that's part of the issue. That park, which is a small parking lot, hasn't been cleared, and it's shaded all the time, so it won't melt for a while, I don't think. But I think that car may be blocking the entrance to that too. So it's been sitting there for a while. But kind of to follow up on Brad with the snow and ice, I wanted to kind of see if you could share with us what is currently being done to address some of those issues that are still sitting, also as well as just saying, like, there are some of these piles, most notably kind of over by where Brad and I live, where there's like 6-foot piles that are not going anywhere on sidewalks right around where kids have to walk to go to school. And it's not the only place, it's just the ones I drive by every day. But I was out a lot this morning, and it's everywhere. Entrances to sidewalks just completely blocked off. I mean, I can see one right out the building here, and see if we can start doing something about that. But if we have a plan to continue to address that, if we're getting good responses from citizens, I'd like to hear a little more about that. And then lastly, I did have a couple people mention that the email addresses on the website are hard to use in trying to reach us. One, because they can't click on it and get the email link anymore. But two, I was just checking that because I know we talked about it before. I think there might be some other secure ways that we could fix or remedy that, but also it has our old email address.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that back up. So there are, based on some previous liability situations, there was a requirement for us to take those down in the manner that they were previously posted. Actually, currently, IT is working on a few different things and working with a consultant to kind of address some of the security concerns and making sure that we're as secure as we possibly can be. So what I would say for anyone that's listening, anyone that's present tonight, Kathy, our city clerk, is always a great resource in getting information to your city council members if for some reason you're having any issues getting information out there. But you are correct, we are exploring some other avenues to get those email addresses so that way people can directly contact you guys. In regards to snow and ice removal, I definitely have some information I'd be happy to share with you maybe after the meeting. But I do know that Kyle and his team, they are still, still dealing with that with all the different departments, building and grounds, utilities, and even parks and recreation. So anytime we're in one of those shaded areas, it is hard to rely on it to melt. It's going to take a lot longer. But I too was going around this morning, I saw your email, and noticed that, yeah, we have a lot of blocked entrances on sidewalks. So Casey Bailey has done a great job in the past of trying to notify those property owners. And sorry, I'm not talking to anybody over here. But that being said, she's done a really great job, and we have some door hangers and ways to, again, notify people. One issue, and it's not unique to Fulton, we see this in a lot of different communities, and Sam and I attended a city managers conference last week and heard some of the same stuff. We have a lot of elderly people, and so they may not have the ability, or people who have mobility issues, they may not have the ability to go out and clear those sidewalks themselves. So one thing that I found to be really interesting is having information available for those individuals about licensed businesses here in the city limits, or just people who are volunteering to help with those services. And so through communications, we're working on putting some stuff together to help get that information out there, because as you all know, it is still the responsibility of the private property owner, but we recognize that there are limitations that people experience in being able to execute that. So I do have some information for you. I'll get with you.
Ellen knows a really good crew who can do so.
I've heard this. I've heard this.
In going around this city, which I have pretty much all over, it looks like Ward 4 probably has the cleanest sidewalks in the city. Yeah, that's a tribute to our council woman and man from Ward 4, maybe, I don't know. Councilman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold, but I want to say that the Parks and Board met about a couple of weeks ago, and they discussed, and I think Councilman West mentioned it, they were looking at, the board was looking at waiving, not waiving, but the fee, making sure that we're no longer waiving the fee for charitable groups. And right now, if they're a nonprofit and they were eligible, we usually don't charge them. But I think we're losing so much money. The park board believes that we should eliminate that, and I'll let Charlene come and just clear it up and what the board recommend, and for future discussion for the council to look at. She looked at me kind of strange.
Charlene McArter, Parks and Rec Superintendent. So I guess you're just asking for me to provide clarification on what they were proposing. So the Parks and Rec Board proposed that we eliminate any fee waiving in general for facilities or reservations.
And I believe that was going to be brought up to the council for further discussion. Is that correct? If my memory serves me right.
My understanding is that the decision was made, inter-city departmental decision.
Why was that? When we were told that it was going to be brought before the council.
I can check into that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay.
And also, will you give us an update on the carpet park? situation?
Yes, I can. So the
Since it's 2 weeks ago, you gave us something at the park board, yeah.
Yeah, I sure can. The bid has been submitted for removal of the current three basketball courts. And I apologize, I said that wrong. It has been submitted for doing the groundwork, leveling, and replacing those basketball courts. We would do the removal of the courts and the demo of the fencing and the backstops and everything in city. So that is out for bid currently, and it is due back, I believe, on February the 19th.
That's for 2 courts?
That is for 2 courts, yes.
And to clarify, Councilman Washington, when, as we discussed at that forum that you established, when we have those numbers back, we'll be getting with you all to set up another forum for Fourth Ward residents. Because again, I want to make sure we have that information readily available. We understand what the scope's going to look like so we can have further discussions.
Thank you.
And I'm going to turn the other topic over to Mayor Myers as far as the Park Board's recommendation.
I thought the Park Board meeting was excellent, probably one of the best ones I've attended. There was a lot of discussion, and their recommendation is going to be that we do waive the fees, and you'll probably see that the next meeting. But I was shocked to know that we give away over $16,000 a year in fees that we could be, and most of these, the nonprofits, when they charge for an event, and it's going to be up to them, but when they charge for an event, if they just charge an extra few bucks, I think it would cover the cost of renting the pavilion or the rec center or whatever. But we'll have more information on that at the next meeting.
So what will be coming to us at the next meeting? A
That we
policy
waive,
proposal or
that we
a
waive the fees.
conversation?
that we waive the fees.
I think you're saying that wrong, Mr. Mayor, that we not waive the fees? Is that what you're saying? That we
No,
not have the ability to waive fees?
right,
Okay.
yeah.
I'd like to have a further conversation later because I think there needs to be some opportunity for groups to come to the council and receive some sort of waiver depending on case by case.
Okay.
I would like to say.
Okay, Councilwoman, oh, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like to say that it was, had some options, so in that discussion, that she got some good options from other. Oh, thank you. My fingers. Showing lots of more information about people's locally, they have a certain percent and things like that, so that will be one as well.
Yeah, that might be an option. Columbia and Jeff City doesn't waive fees at all. So we'll talk about it. I also want to say that I think Charlene's doing an outstanding job. We're not quite breaking even there, but she's working really hard to get some new programs, and I see the attendance coming up there, and I think want to commend you on a great job you're doing.
I like to ditto that too. I see that too.
Okay, Councilwoman Nelson?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The Public Utility Board did have a meeting. In the past, February has been our coldest month. It's been the month that we have had catastrophic events. And we as a city are trying to be more prepared for that this year. We had booked 70% of our gas, leaving 30%, and I feel like that we've done a really good job as a staff and a team looking ahead and going ahead and getting gas booked at a reasonable price. So hopefully this year we are not in a situation where we're signing large gas waivers, fees. and paying an exponential cost on that. So I am really proud of our staff and our team for looking ahead and trying to be as prepared as possible. And I do think we're in a good position for that. Also, Courtney, could you give us a little information on the 911, the signing up? I don't want to have those facts wrong, but I do think that that's really, really good for our citizens to know.
Sure, absolutely. So I mentioned it, I think, at our last meeting, but again, kudos to Michelle Kidwell and her team. They were very, they really helped us out a lot in getting the message out to the community when we had to make alterations to our solid waste schedule. And the mechanism that they used was the Smart 911 platform. So we are working on a monthly basis, much closer than the city and county have ever worked previously, on emergency preparedness and communication and how we get emergency notifications out to our community members. So we're going to have more information. We're going to put stuff on social media, on our website, through email, and all kinds of great things. But I would just take this moment to ask everybody to take a look at Smart 911 through Callaway County Emergency Management. There's a wealth of information on their website, and you can sign up for email, call, or text alerts, and you can kind of list out which sort of things you're interested in getting information on. So we always want to be very cognizant of not flooding the market with information that people may not be interested in. But again, I think that Michelle and her team did a really wonderful job of helping us get information out to our citizens. So keep an eye out. We'll have more information coming, but if you would like to explore that yourself, check out the emergency management website and sign up for that service. It is wonderful, and you know, I found out that I get calls and text messages, so I was really aware of everything. So definitely check that out, and I highly recommend that you sign up, and we will be doing a campaign to push that information out to people as well.
Thank you so much for that. And I would just like to reiterate, Kyle, you know I said it up here, I was just so touched whenever, you know, I had the opportunity to talk with you a couple weeks ago, and I will not ever forget, you know, the fact that you said it's hard to leave a job that you love. And I think that speaks for us as an organization, and I think it speaks to you as a leader, that you come to work and you have a job that you enjoy, and you're sad to go, and we're sad to see you go. And I just appreciate all the hard work that you've done for us as a city and me as a resident, because I know that you're working hard every single day, and you will to the very last day that you're here. So thank you. No concerns.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I did
sir.
have a concern. Somebody called me and asked me, can we get an update on the demolition, when it's supposed to take place? I think Casey said something in February. They're going to start that program.
Yes, I believe the notice to proceed is at February. Kathy, you have that date on top of your mind? I want to say it's like around the 5th or something. Yes, Casey Bailey's been working very hard on with the contractor, trying to get that project rolling. It's as we all know, it's been a thorn in our side, and it's looking like we're finally going to get to see some action. So that's great.
Okay, we'll move on to ordinances. Bill number 1739. Councilwoman Nelson, would you read that for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1739, Nichols Street Bridge Replacement Project. An ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relation to the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, OFF, System Bridge Program Agreement to fund the replacement of the Nichols Street Bridge, bridge number 1555004 in Fulton, Missouri, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1739 for second reading at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second?
Thank you. I think you're all familiar with which bridge this is. I want to say Kyle worked hard to get this grant, and I didn't think we were going to get it. And I was at a meeting last month, I guess, and I was told that we did get it. So I was happy about that. And Kyle, thank you for working on this. Anybody got any other questions?
I don't have a question. I'd just like to commend Kyle for taking care of this, because this was a major concern when this bridge was closed, and with other avenues in that area closing, it's good to have access, or gonna have access again, so thank you so much.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Very well. We'll move that to the next meeting. Councilman Henchy, would you read bill number 1740 for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1740, Airport Infrastructure Grant Agreement. An ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to execute all necessary documents relating to an airport infrastructure grant agreement for project 24-040 Alpha-1 with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for airfield maintenance and drainage improvements at the Elton Hensley Memorial Airport, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1740 for the second reading at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Okay, thank you both. Again, Kyle worked on this grant, I believe, also. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you. Councilman West, would you read bill number 1741, please?
Well, yes, I guess, but I have some concerns with this particular bill. I'll read it, but then I would like to discuss. No? Bill number 1741, ordinance number blank. Amend Fulton City Code, Chapter 46, Environment. An ordinance appending, Fulton City Code, Chapter 46, Environment, by adding Article 4, Construction Site Runoff, and Article 5, Illicit Discharge Detection and Elimination, and establishing an effective date. I'll make a motion to place this for second reading at our next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Thank you. This just puts us in line with the state regulations.
Well, I'd like to send this to the Planning and Zoning Commission to look at. There's a lot of stuff in here I don't think we need.
Well,
And quite
if I could
frankly-
interrupt, if you don't mind, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
This is directly pulled from the city of Mexico's
Yeah.
planning and, not their planning protected, but off of their code. So that is where it come from, just so you know.
Understand.
Okay.
Well, as an example, several places in here where they talk about a building commissioner. Do we have such a title? Who's that? Who's our building commissioner?
The what?
Kyle, for one last time, would you like to come on down and shed some light?
One more time before I pack my protractor and engineering tools and everything up.
Your slide rule, you have one of those?
Slide rule. I do know some fellows. I've never had one, but I do know some fellows in the
I have
office.
several.
Yeah. Ask Richard Elzerath about it. So the Department of Natural Resources, they actually came to town this last week to audit our MS4 permit. Our MS4 permit is our stormwater pollution prevention permit that we have with DNR. And so one of the things that they said that we need to correct is the ability to have a little bit more corrective action and teeth in our code. So that's what this comes from. And Casey Bailey and Matt Easley did some research along with Kathy to try to get us in line with the DNR requirements. So perfectly happy to talk further about the specific points, offline or now, whenever you.
Well, I'm just saying this looks like something that came from the Environmental Protection Agency. To be quite frank, it looks like a bureaucrat coming from the bureaucracy. And I don't know why we wouldn't just refer to the right state statutes rather than repeating them all here, because I wouldn't be surprised if some of this changes, quite frankly. I agree, we need to control runoff from our properties and that sort of thing, but this is pretty far-reaching, in my opinion.
The specific points that we were kind of reprimanded on or told that we needed to improve on, which this ordinance tries to address, is construction site runoff, which we know we saw up there at the Early Childhood Center earlier this,
Yeah, right.
last year now, and also illicit discharge and detection, which is trying to find those, when we find pollutants coming in our stream, to be able to nail down where they're coming from.
Yeah, and we've been fighting I&I for how many years?
So
A lot of years, right?
Right. So if we can, if there's some opportunity to pare this down to accomplish those things, I think there is that opportunity.
Yeah.
But I do think that we need something similar to this to go through.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Kyle, again, just for my education, how does this connect to the county's environmental department and policies and procedures? Is there a connection to the Callaway County Health Department and the stuff that they do? I mean, do we need to
No.
worry about making sure that our policies don't contradict, or is less or more, or?
It
any of
really doesn't connect directly. You know, it is really, the Department of Natural Resources makes us oversee, the storm water, the rainwater, the storm water that falls in our community, and they do the same with other communities our size. And so the only kind of overlap is, when we are trying to detect illicit discharges, bad things that should not be in our streams and water systems, it would be working with the county to try to detect those, because we know that the water just doesn't follow the city limits, so
Right.
it's working with their staff and our staff kind of working together.
Okay, but there's not necessarily a concern about policies and procedures and
No,
any of that not connecting?
no.
Okay.
So,
And
Thank
I
you.
got a quick question. So will this allow the opportunity for fines and fees?
yeah.
And then who will get these fines and fees?
No,
So-
Yeah,
Yes, the answer is yes, and
They're pretty
the
stiff,
fines and
too.
fees would be passed, like if it's a construction project, it would be the owner of that construction project would ultimately be responsible, along with their contractor. And then if it's in a different kind of pollutant that's found that's not from a construction site, wherever that would be traced back up, it would be dealt with whoever's doing the pollution.
yeah, that includes jail time. I mean, it's pretty stringent. I'm just concerned it's gonna affect individual homeowners is one of my concerns. Bailey's out driving around, I mean, you can have search warrants, all kinds of things in this, and I think this is a big brother. I'm not supportive, I'll just say it that way. So, thank you.
Okay, do we have any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Oppose?
No.
No.
Madam Clerk, would you do a voice vote, please?
Mr. Hingy,
Yes.
Mr. Luther,
Yes.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Reclue,
No.
Mr. Stone,
No.
Mr. Washington,
Yes.
Mr. West,
No.
and Mr. Combs.
Yes.
Thank you. 5 council members affirmative, 3 opposed.